What's up, everybody? Welcome to the PixelPlay podcast, or your Sidequests. I mean, that's what actually is happening here. Your bonus content every Friday here on the YouTube channel. I'm Adam, aka CS Radical. As always, joined with me is Kaylan, Jin, and Chris. I say as always. I think it's how long has it been since you've actually had a full roster here on this show? I don't know. It feels weird.
As mostly.
As mostly, yeah, that's what it should be. As you can see, there are a number of old school arcade posters here on the wall, which means that we are going to specifically talk about Barbie's Horse Adventures. All right, so, but no, we are going to, because ironically, like, Atari bought Intellivision. They finally own the license for Intellivision. The console wars are over, everybody. We can finally stop talking about it.
I've been worried about that for 39 years.
But with that, just gave me an idea. We are big arcade guys. Like that was our jam in our teens for sure. So I was like, hey, why don't we just talk about some of our favorite games that we ever played in an arcade? And right off the bat, NBA Jam, anybody? NBA Jam?
Really,
No.
Kaylan?
Nope, it was not my thing.
Wow, that was my thing for
I was
sure.
a fat kid in school, and basketball just brought back PTSD. So,
But the rim could be lit on fire.
Yeah, yeah, and they'd yell it at you like,
yeah,
he's on fire. They'd let him know, and us.
yep.
I loved that game. I loved that so much.
I mean, and of any sports game, like that's the one. Like that is the one. They're just. I mean, you could probably make a case for NFL Blitz because I know it used to be on those machines too. But like, let's be real, it was NBA Jam. Nothing else touched it.
Yeah, 100%. I can't think of any other sports game that was that big. I can't.
Well, I mean, not
can't-
counting
I
racing
can't.
games, obviously, which is its
Yeah,
own
no.
category.
Golden Tee.
Oh, I guess that is. Yeah, but
Kaylan, we're not
how old are those?
55 and pub regulars every 2 days, every like other day. Like some people at the bar that Chris and I frequent, we know there are the Golden Tee guys in the bar that we frequent.
And there you, Adam.
Yes, they are.
You go check the machine. It just says CS Radical #1.
More like I'm
Number 2
CS
is Chris
Spatical
sucks.
at it.
Oh. Ba-ba-ba-bow. That is
No, the only way you're gonna get me to play a game with that roller thing is when we were playing the Simpsons bowling game when we were at that bar or that retrocade.
that was actually also
Yeah.
a good one. That I did not
Yeah.
know that one existed though before that, so that's not on my
Yeah, I only
list.
knew about the Simpsons beat 'em up. Like that was the only one that I knew about.
Yeah, the Simpsons arcade game, I guess
Yeah.
it was just called. Yeah. Oh, that was a good one too. That was a lot of fun and unexpectedly fun because it's a license and usually like they weren't as bad back then, like 2000s bad.
But you were also used to like most arcade games if they were licensed were generally just pinball machines.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Kaylan, which arcade game stands out to you as being like your ultimate favorite?
If I were to buy like a cabinet and stuff,
Actually, yeah, that's the real question. Like, if you had to buy an arcade cabinet, if you were given like, here's $500 and you got to buy one, that's what you got to use it for. Which one you buying?
There's two that would be my that I'm debating between. Galaga is one of my favorite I've only discovered it recently, but it's one of my favorite arcade games, and I just feel like it's a lot of fun to play and it would look good in a room. It's just it's a classic arcade game. So Galaga for me is a lot of fun. I like playing that one. The other one that I played a lot of, and I think it would be fun to have just because it's such a unique experience that you can't replicate on PC or console gaming or whatever, is the old Silent Scope games. I really liked Silent Scope. We used to have one at our movie theater, and I would just play the heck out of that.
I was so bad at that game.
Oh, me
it
too.
was so much fun. Oh yeah, nobody was good at it, but it was just so much fun.
Like I was more of the Time Crisis guy. Like Time Crisis 3 especially, that was my
Also a
my
good one.
shit.
Yeah. I spent
Same with House of the Dead
probably-
2. Those two games, like those are my go-tos all the time.
Yeah, I wasn't huge into House of the Dead, but Time Crisis was a really good.
Yeah,
one.
you're right. I was
Same with
more
Virtual
I was
Cop.
more of a
Virtual Cop
typing
was
of the
also
dead
good, too.
guy.
Typing
Yeah.
of the Dead. The arcade game.
Yeah, like I was Time Crisis or Virtual Cop. I think we had a Virtual Cop instead of.
I remember
Time Crisis.
Virtua Cop like playing it once. It was all right, but Time Crisis was definitely the more common one.
It was better of the two, yeah. But when you're a kid and you're like in a small town, you just whatever you have that's your go-to.
Because yeah, like if I'm
Yeah.
thinking of any like shooter ones, like you would think those three especially, and then maybe like the Jurassic Park like one where you actually had like the little sit down area where you would play in there.
Another one that I was really big on, like my dad and I played a lot whenever we'd go to like Boston Pizza or whatever like that, was Big Buck Hunter. That was a fun one.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was fun.
I don't know how much it like holds up today and stuff like that, and it's a little it's a little much, but it was a fun game, and like it was
I
a
mean,
lot of fun playing
it's
with my
more
dad.
of the, the I don't play nearly as many games kind of arcade game for
Yeah.
people. So
Like
Yeah.
it's not one I don't think I'd want to own. Like I think it would start sounding obnoxious in my basement like gaming room, but it's fun if I see Big Buck Hunter somewhere. And like they've got so many iterations now that like I forget where I was. I was at some sort of arcade or something like that. I was at an arcade in San Diego, and they had a Big Buck Hunter zombie game where it's Big Buck Hunter, but it's a zombie game, and like zombies are chasing you. It was the weirdest thing.
So you were hunting the deer for survival.
No,
for
you were
food.
not hunting deer at all. You were like running away from like zombies and stuff like that in a hunting lodge.
Wow, that they definitely were trying something new.
You could tell
That
it was
sounds
like
fun though.
Walking Dead was huge at the time.
And yes, you could definitely tell.
Chris,
Yeah,
you got to own one arcade cabinet. What you getting?
I was gonna say, for me, mine's gonna show my age because I'm old school when it comes to this. Like, I'm not talking like you'd think like, oh, Ninja Turtles the arcade game or Ninja Turtles in Time or Turtles in Time or something like that. No, for me, I have a runner up. It was kind of torn, but I made my decision. My runner up is the original Pac-Man. No, actually, sorry, Miss Pac-Man. That was the one that I played the most of, so I'd probably go with that. But my number one would be the original Donkey Kong. When I was a kid, every time I would go for road trips with my family to the States, every hotel we ever stayed at, whether it was in like Florida or like Myrtle Beach area or something like that, there was always an arcade of like 4 machines and Donkey Kong was always there. And for some reason I would get quarters off my parents and that's all I wanted to play. And I just played so much. I would just eat hot dogs and play Donkey Kong. And there's only 3 levels and I would beat them and just repeat and keep going and keep going. That would be the one I would have to have because it's just like for me that is the arcade, you know.
Yeah, like if I think I
What?
had to get one entirely, like NBA Jam seems like the standout one for me because it's the one that's like the most easily accessible. Although, I think the one like for me especially because like my personal favorite, and it's okay. I should caveat it by saying if I could actually get a original one, I get Crazy Taxi. But
Oh,
trying
yeah.
to fit that into a
Oh.
house is next to fucking impossible. So that's not happening. It was at the retro arcade that we played at. It's called Super Off Road. It's that one that has like the 3 wheels, so it has like the kind of triangular shape sort of deal for the pedals there. I fucking love that game because it's such a simple thing where it's just like the old school, just like buzzing around in a tiny ass. It almost reminds me of like the Micro Machines game on like Sega Genesis sort of deal.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Man, speaking of micro, like if I wish that had an arcade game, that would have been so cool.
I wonder if it did. Like there must have been, right? That's a
Definitely
pretty big
wasn't.
license back when
Nah.
arcades were around. How did they drop the ball on that one?
Speaking of cars, what about Cruising USA?
Yes,
I would have leaned
That
more to
game.
Daytona USA.
or that.
Yeah.
I would love. The thing is, when it comes to the car arcades, I love so many of them, and they are like they're slightly different, but also kind of just
Yeah, like if there
fun
was
and
any
similar.
collection of arcade games, like that's the one where I think you have the biggest list of games that you would play. Because I mean, you've got your shooters, you've got your like your classic arcades, you have your beat 'em ups, you have your fighting games, like you have all of that. But let's be real, like the driving games always work. Like you have Mario Kart Arcade now, you have Daytona USA, you have Crazy Taxi, you have, like I said, the Super Off Road, you have like the Fast and the Furious one, you have the Star Wars Pod Racer one at one point. There was that.
Oh,
There
yeah.
was Wave Race. There was Downhill Bikers, the one where you're actually on a mountain bike. Like there were
Oh, do you guys
so
remember the-
many different ones that were just they were all so good.
What about that
Yeah.
skateboarding one where you like would ride a skateboard?
Oh God, what was that called? Google, help me
I-
out here.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of it.
There was like a snowboarding one, and there was like
Snowboarding,
skateboarding
yeah.
one.
Top Skater.
There was one Top
Top
Skater.
Skater.
There's also one that was like downhill biking, like BMX.
Yeah,
and you
downhill
had to
biking.
actually,
That's the
like,
one that's what
They
it
had a
was.
skiing one too.
Just
One of
looking
the coolest
for
ones
the
I've ever played,
snowboarding
like,
one. I
one of
don't
the
think it.
coolest
Well,
arcade
it
experience
says
I've ever
X Games Snowboarder. I don't know if that was the one though.
There was an X Games Snowboarder, but I think that's more recent.
Yeah.
One cool experience I had with like an arcade was I think it was called Mech Assault, and it was
Okay.
I only played it once, and it was at Dave and Buster's, and it was like basically Mech Assault in like a 12-person like multiplayer scenario, but each one of you sat in your own booth like a mech, so you had like
So
like
so it's kind of like
a
what
powerful-
Hawken or some of those old school games were.
yeah, I think it was Mech Assault. I can't remember off the top of my head, but like it was one of the coolest experiences. You get locked in this box, they close it up, the screen comes up, you feel like you're in a mech, and it was just so cool.
That does sound cool.
Mm-hmm.
Not as advanced as Donkey Kong, but still pretty
well,
advanced sounding.
They're all playing for second.
God, I would just love one of those, any of those car racer ones where it's like Cruising USA or Daytona. That, if I had actually put one in my house, maybe that would be what I'd go with. Just because.
Then you even have like the motorcycle ones, like Super Hang On, where you actually were like on the motorcycles
yeah.
and could like tip over.
Oh, those were fun.
Those are still a thing. Like we take my son to a couple places that still have some arcades, and that is a very common one to see. Is like I forget what it's called, but they have like the motorcycle where you stand and you like lean to
I'm pretty sure, like, I know Super Hang On is the big one. There is another one, but that's always the one that I can think of.
Yeah.
There's some new like arcade games that are coming out that are also pretty cool. Like I don't know if you guys have seen this one, but there's like a Space Invaders. It's like a multiplayer Space Invaders where you're actually shooting a gun at like an LED screen. Pretty fun. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And it comes really fast. It gets really hectic, but it's a good time.
That does sound like a good time. I'm surprised none of us mentioned fighting games at all.
Well, because like
See,
they're kind of the easiest ones to talk about, right? Like, I mean, Mortal Kombat's a gimme, but like fighting games are basically like pinball machines to arcades. They're just always there. Like, you know they're there.
And for me, always like Mortal Kombat. Like I was in Mortal Kombat instead of like Street Fighter or whatever. But like those for me are, and I know it's not the case, but those for me are console games.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Like
right?
doing the combos with a joystick and buttons versus like a D-pad and buttons. It was the D-pad for me always just worked so much better when it came to these freaking fighting combos. Like I love those kind of fighting games, especially the old school ones. But yeah, I guess in the arcade, like it's just not as, just not as good.
Well, and we're also at a point too that we now have things that we can do that are not needing to have like a virtual screen. Like now axe throwing is starting to become like a big thing. So you're in escape rooms. So you're starting to see like a bit of a shift away from, everything being on a digital screen. Now there are like real world experiences you can have. I mean, you see things like obviously paintball and airsoft becoming as big as they've been over the years. Like there's so much more, and in a weird way, like other things have gone by the wayside. Like go-karting isn't what it used to be now. So it's kind of that weird like balance of some stuff is taken away from the digital market, but some stuff from the real world experiences aren't nearly doing the same thing anymore. Like mini golf, as much as it should be a thing more, I think mini golf needs to be more widespread and get rid of all the friggin' golf courses and replace it with mini golf. Like we need the real sport of the people out there, but
mini golf, but the size of an actual golf course.
Yeah, it's like 2,000 holes. And you can't leave until you finish them all.
A par 32.
The one that I'm just like looking up that came up was the old like 1944 like helicopter, like where you're like the jet pilot basically flying over Nam and whatever. Like those are also really good ones. But
yeah, those were really.
I'm surprised that like, and I think it's because it's just become so onerous to like manage and maintain them. But like, I'm surprised you don't have places like pizza shops and stuff still have those where it's like you got people waiting around anyways. Like put a quarter in, but I think it's one, you don't have people making them anymore, and it's more to maintain them. But like, I'd love to see.
I mean, also we're at an age that coins just aren't being carried as much anymore. Now, granted, you could just have token machines, wouldn't be a big deal, but like.
Even just get like a thing where you can do the pay pass thing with like your phone.
Well, but I also think too, like even on the flip side, like sure there are people that are waiting often in these places, but more people now are just ordering them online and getting them delivered to them. So there's not nearly as many people standing around in these stores anymore. And if they aren't in there long because there's that massive push now to get people in and out the door as soon as possible, rather than what it used to be, would just keep you in there.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, I'd love to find a pizza shop that still has an arcade game.
Oh, I'd love to
all the time.
Oh gosh, yeah.
If one of my local spots where I either get like a sub or a pizza, if they had fucking arcade machines there, I'd be there more often.
Right? Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, if I go to like a pizza place and I'm like, hey, I'm gonna get a slice, and there's an arcade machine there, I'm only gonna be playing it for 2-3 minutes while I'm waiting for my pizza. But like now you're making an extra like 50 cents or I'd even say if it's 50 cents a game, I'd play it for 50 cents a game. Like.
Yeah.
Tap my credit card and
tap the credit card or something. Yeah, like that's what they would have to do, just incorporate that. I feel like they'd be expensive to make like the real ones now, but I'm like, there's so many ways to just make like a Raspberry Pi arcade cabinet.
GameStop sells like a cabinet for like $600.
Oh yeah, is that the 1UP ones?
Yeah,
that branded ones or whatever. Yeah, those are pretty cool. I like that my barber has
tempted to get
Street
one.
Fighter. Yeah,
I'm really tempted
I've
to get
always
one.
been.
Like they've got one where it's actually just a Raspberry Pi and you can put whatever you want.
I'm still
I'm
at the
just worried
point that
about
I'm
buying-
looking into getting an NVIDIA Shield just to have like my own like retro box.
Nice.
I saw a guy who made like a little table cabinet for like old Game Boy games. Oh, he's playing Pokemon on a tabletop arcade machine.
That's pretty sweet.
Right.
Well,
pretty
we'll
sweet.
finish it on one last question. You get to open up an arcade shop. What are the first 3 games you're going to put in because you know that those are the ones that people are going to play the most?
Oh. Ooh. Okay. I'm definitely gonna have one racer,
Mhm.
and then the other 2 will be like standing cabinets. That way, there's a little bit of variety.
Because
The
for me,
racer-
it's Pac-Man. That's
Yep.
that's the automatic. You put Turtles in Time, and then you put in Mortal Kombat. So you got a bit of the mainstay stuff. The driving ones can come later. But like if I'm talking about like classic mainstays, you get the old original, you get one of the the side scrollers, and you get a fighting game because those are always the go-tos. I mean, I could even
Yeah.
just cheat and say like, okay, that and a pinball machine, but
Oh, pinball, yeah. Yeah, you kind of took my idea. I know for my fighter, I was gonna go with Marvel versus Capcom. I was gonna put one of those ones in there, whether it's like 1 or 2 or whatever. Donkey Kong, because that was the one I had for that. And then, yeah, probably like a multiplayer one, like a Ninja Turtles arcade, where you can get 4 people all playing.
yeah, like Turtles in Time, X-Men,
Yeah.
Simpsons arcade game. Like there's a bunch of them.
I take it back. I want the X-Men one. That was 6-player, and it said "Welcome to Die," and that's amazing. I like it. Yeah, that's what I'm going with.
I'm gonna go a different route. If I'm opening an arcade, I think I would go with Time Crisis. I think I would go with, and I think you're right. I think it's Daytona, like Daytona USA or whatever.
Mhm.
And I don't know what my third one would be. Because what I'm going for is I'm looking like things like the Simpsons arcade and all those ones. Like probably Crazy Taxi. I think that'd probably be my other one. And my idea being is that like if I'm making an arcade, I want games that you can't play anywhere else, right? Like you can get Turtles in Time or whatever and play that, and it feels like it. But I think you need ones that like you can't replicate that experience, and unless you're dropping cash on a whole controller and stuff, I think I'm gonna go that. Maybe I'd put Turtles in Time because that game is actually really good too. Yeah,
All right,
Turtles in
I
Time,
just thought of one more. If you could make one game into an arcade cabinet, what would you do? If like one that hasn't gotten an arcade cabinet. The immediate one that just came to my head was Scott Pilgrim versus the World, the arcade, the beat 'em up.
Okay,
Yeah.
I would. Go
I'd
Castle
love to play
Crashers.
I would love to play that game with a fight stick.
I'd go Castle Crashers, having like 4 different nights with. 4
That's a
different
good one.
powers.
That is
Yeah.
a good one. I'm gonna go a completely different route because I want to make a lot of money. Elden Ring, because then they're gonna die a lot.
What are you talking
have to
about?
drop so
Oh
much
wait,
money.
never mind. You're right. You put in money every time you die. Oh shit.
Yeah, you die, you got to drop a quarter or something. I mean, it'll work. It's a joystick with buttons. It's basically.
But
an
all you do
Xbox
is
controller.
it's a pre-built version of Elden Ring where it skips the main like early part where you're just walking and it just puts you right into like one of the main worlds where it's just like
Oh yeah,
bunch of enemies.
there's no prologue. Like you're just there. Welcome.
There's no
to die.
tutorial.
Actually, honestly, if you're going that route, Elden Ring's not the right one. You do the Demon Souls remake because you get into fights pretty early through that one.
Okay, there you go. There you go. Yeah, I'm definitely going with a Souls. Like, there's no way I'm not because I want to make my money. Pay off my house.
Nice.
That's what I'd do. How'd you pay
All
off
right.
your house? I made Elden Ring as an arcade cabinet.
Well, this makes me want to play an arcade cabinet real good. All right, I'll see you guys at that retrocade that we went to the other month ago. We'll do that. We'll meet up
Yes.
and we'll shoot the breeze there. But otherwise, hey, you guys watching this video? Yes, you, Jacob.
Talking to you, Steve.
Chris, you gonna make up a name? You gotta join the party.
Yeah, Chris, because there's probably more of you out there.
That's a fair point.
Matt, it's
yeah,
Matt.
you watching this video? Let us know in the comments below. What's your favorite arcade game? What game would you want to have in your own personal arcade? Like, what's your creme de la creme of the arcade genre? Let us know in the comments below. But before you do that, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and check out our link tree. You can see there at the bottom right of the screen here. Check that out for a link to our socials, link to our Discord. Come join us and join the conversation. Join the shit show, as we call it. And we will see you on the next video, whichever you're watching. That might be Monday's Retro Rando, assuming I don't remember this time. I'll totally forget. Wait, I'll totally remember. That's what I meant. I'll do it this time for sure. And then obviously our main show on Wednesdays. All of them will be now released at noon, so you don't got to worry about the time changes. Every time, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at noon, you will get more Pixel Play content. So, with that being said, thank you so much. We'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye for now.